Hello and welcome to the short story at the State University of New York at New Paltz. My name is Professor Rigolino, and I'd like to give you an overview of what the next few weeks will bring. During the first week of our course, I'd like to begin by setting aside a part of our discussion board for you to introduce yourselves to one another. Also during that week, you should take the time to go through the course, click on links, and get acclimated to the Blackboard environment. I teach in the English department at SUNY New Paltz, where I'm the coordinator of the SWW Composition program. I also teach part-time in the Black Studies department. And this summer we will be reading many of my favorite authors, including Edith Wharton, James Baldwin, Langston Hughes, and Flannery O'Connor. So I very much look forward to doing that. So my course is set up in a chronological order. I kind of want to look at our writers through an historic lens. So we're going to begin really at the beginning with Washington Irving and look at Rip Van Winkle. I'm assuming that all of you have read Rip Van Winkle and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Then we're going to go on to Nathaniel Hawthorne, one of our seminal early American writers. Rappaccini's Daughter, I've got that online. And we'll also look at The Wives of the Dead, a short story with which I was not familiar until this spring. And Charles Chesnutt was an African American writer I'd like to look at. We'll be reading The Sheriff's Children. The next week, week 3, we're going to be looking at some women writers from the 19th century, early 20th century. Edith Wharton, Kate Chopin, and Mary Wilkins Freeman. And you may have read them or read all 3, or perhaps read 2 of them. I know Kate Chopin and Edith Wharton, for example, are widely anthologized. Then we have 3 men I call quote-unquote the legends, Faulkner, Hemingway, and Fitzgerald. Most of us began reading them, in high school, and you may have read them some more in college. So we'll be looking at these writers. And I've devoted an entire week to Langston Hughes. You may be more familiar with his poetry than with his prose, but we will be looking at his short stories. And I have also, in addition to the Oxford Anthology, I've also assigned a collection of his short stories. Then in week 6, I'm going to take a little break from discussion to give you a chance to complete your midterm. Your midterm is a character blog I'd like you to create. Select one of the fictional characters in one of the short stories and write a blog. Our discussion of our writers will wrap up in week 7, where we look at some 20th century writers. James Baldwin. We're going to be reading Sonny's Blues. You may have read that before. Sandra Cisneros, John Updike, and Flannery O'Connor. In fact, no course in the American short story would be complete without Flannery O'Connor, at least in my opinion. The final copy of the final paper is due July 23rd, but you must post a rough draft by the 16th because each of you will be conducting peer critiques. That is required, and they must be completed within 3 days. And then the final exam, which is very easy, it's just a review of critique of the course, is due on July 24th. So I look forward to meeting you online. I look forward to reading these authors very much, and I'm hoping that this summer will be productive and enjoyable. See you online.